Certainly can, and here we go. It looks to be fixed on my end, and Skarner is going to be taken off the table, and this is no surprise. It was what nightmares were made of, and now it is no longer available to be selected. Nocturne taken away along with the Ziggs, which may look a little bit strange to you, but if you were here for game one, man, those bombs hurt.
Now, Glaive have a bit of a rough choice for their last ban here. Do you ban Varus? Or do you ban Ezreal? Okay, quick answer there. Varus take away. I mean, that's the tried and proven, but yeah, that's the problem, right? You've got two OP 80 carries, and we saw the Yuumi hover last game from, I believe it was Glaive hovering it. Well, AOE can pick it this time, and maybe Glaive, you want to pick that Hecarim Yuumi yourself. It's not Ezreal Yuumi, but it's still a really strong combo, and more importantly, you deny it away from this Ezreal.
I actually am not sure that Ezreal is going to be as strong as you think. The Sunderer range nerfs. It went from 12% HP damage down to 9%. So a little bit different here for the Ezreal. Maybe we'll see a different build. I expect the Sunderer just to be a little bit weaker though. Glaive could grab the Yuumi away. I'm not sure what AOE are planning. We'll have to see as we get later on. And with the Ziggs taken away, it is a lot of that late game mid lane threat also off the board, so we're gonna have to work with something else on their end. Hecarim though, obvious enough. If you want it, you want the engage, pretty solid champion all around. Go ahead and grab that one. Really takes a lot of the necessity for engage from your other lanes and takes it and puts it on that jungle role.
And for Glaive here, I'm curious to see if they just go back to what they did last game in picking like that Galio early for some sort of global pressure, or no, they just go for the Jinx. That's, I think, something that worked for them before. It's solid as well. And, you know, like you're talking about Necrox, the fact that Divine Sunder is somewhat nerfed here. If your front lines do pick up the Anathema's Chain, it's so much more useful against the Ezreal than necessarily against the Jinx, because Jinx still has splash damage and will still hit everybody else, whereas Ezreal is still very single target focused.
Thresh Ezreal, not the greatest of lane pairings. You understand, though, that you just want to take away the Thresh from the Jinx, right? You don't want to have the Thresh Jinx duo lane. It is incredibly useful. It's basically as strong as playing against two range champions while still having the safety and tankiness of a frontliner. And this is something that if they pick it, could be punished, but it is an absolute comfort. And please lock it in. Yes! Throw another rock baby Talia in the mid lane.
Rune Weaver here. I mean, we talked about the fact that Talia's signature champion was banned game 1. Was open game 2, and they did not pick it here, but they do now. And the question is, does Puffles have a good answer for this Talia here? This Talia, we were talking about the fact that maybe Puffles enable you to roam with McShootums. Well, now we've got Rune Weaver roaming with McShootums, with Melscout, pardon me, and Puffles does have a counter. LeBlanc right away is a champion that's been coming back into meta. She's an assassin, she's a mage, she's a wave clear. She can kind of do it all here, and she's a huge threat to a fairly immobile champion like the Talia.
Plus 200 gold off the cost of these mage items. RMC and 11-3 makes that power spike even quicker for the LeBlanc. Notorious for having some CS issues in the early game. Mana management is pretty important for that champ. You could say the same for Talia, but regardless, LeBlanc versus Talia, my eyes are absolutely peeled on Rune Weaver and Puffles in this mid lane. If we see these two going at it in the 1v1, I'm already going to be happy. Giga, you can get your Cho'Gath banned away. I don't really care. Ornn as well is not exciting. I'll be completely honest. My eyes straight up on the mid lane main matchup.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do think the Cho'Gath is a good ban. I'm actually surprised they banned the Gangplank here, because I think with the Talia, you don't have to worry too much about the Gangplank here. You can't cleanse a wall, a Weaver's wall. It's there, it's terrain. You just have to deal with it here, and depending on what you pick top would have been solid. As for Glaive here, they're going to hold their counter pick for their solo lane, because why not? Giga is absolutely massive for this team, and if you can see what the other side's picking first and then round out your comp, it's going to be solid. And I suspect it'll be something rather tanky, rather bruisery, with some solid engage coming throughout for Giga here.
I love the flexibility and mobility from Glaive's draft. They have the Hecarim, Galio, plus the LeBlanc. Everyone can come at you from long distance. You have to be very prepared to deal with it. A lot of pressure on the Thresh for now, but the Shen is in for that extra safety. This duo, Shen and Talia, all of a sudden roll up in a side lane, riding on the wall. Shen stand united over the back. You're just like, what the heck? I thought this was a 2v2, and it ends up being like a 5v3 in a matter of seconds. AOE could really start bringing on the numbers in these small skirmishes. Udyr Solid choice in the jungle. Honestly, I thought we weren't going to see it in this patch. I'm pretty sick of it, but regardless, it clears and it has CC. So why not?
Okay, I same as you, Necrox. I was super hype on the Shen pickup, the double globals. We talked about it for Glaive last game. It's not the Nocturne, but it's still really solid with the Talia there. You've got a lot of map pressure. I don't like the Udyr. Not into Galio, not into the likes of a LeBlanc's Jinx here. I just don't see. I wanted something that could threaten the back line, something that can threaten the Jinx. As it stands, nothing's there to threaten it. And Necrox, I can see how excited you are. Go with your R5.
Oh my gosh, Yorick is making his debut in Heavy League. Please. All right, staff, you got to help me out. This has got to be our first ever game of Yorick and Heavy. There's no way this has been played before. Hullbreaker, please just take the base in 20 minutes and make our casters fumble because they don't know what's going on. Why is the base dying in like 16 minutes is going to be egregious. This has got to be the debut. And for Glaive top lane, like Giga on Yorick, this is a dream come true, RMC. I'm just so happy.
Because like you said, Hullbreaker, you got to build it. Surely you've got to put it on the Yorick. This is the quintessential split pusher here. And does really want to Shen. Okay, we've gotten our ear that Yorick has been played once before. So, but this one I think will be the first time on stream, Necrox, which still makes it special here. And we're still really, really excited to see it.
First time with Hullbreaker as well, so I'm wiping my plate clean. This is a new Yorick for me, and has been one of the champions that is slightly getting crept up in terms of power throughout patch after patch. Same thing with the Ziggs, right? Couple changes here and there, and then all of a sudden, incredibly powerful champion. Yorick along the same lines can do it, and this is the counter pick for Giga. Talked about it at the very beginning of the night. If you give Giga a lot of power in the draft, he can pull out a lot for you, something like the Rumble that was open. Instead, he opts for the Yorick in this game. I'm going to be honest, I don't have a lot in my notes written down about Yorick. I know he takes turrets incredibly fast, can keep them mated in a side lane to keep that side lane pressure up, but Giga, man, you're making it hard for me. I wanted to talk about mid lane matchup. Now I want to talk about top lane. RMC, you're going to have to guide this conversation as I geek out like a nerd.
Fair enough right now. And both these teams, last game, we saw a lot of like team fighting utility tools for both these teams. This game, this draft doesn't feel as much about team fighting. If we look at AOE God Squad here, yes, you've got the Ezreal, yes, you've got the Pokken, but it's more about dragging them around the map, making use of the double globals here. You don't necessarily want to fight that 5v5, and you don't have a good tool to get on that Jinx, so it's not ideal for you for the most part here. So in the early game, I'm looking like we saw from Glaive Onyx last game, map plays, rotations here, getting your jungler to gank the lanes early, get them snowballing. Glaive Onyx, on the other hand, well, they have the option to team fight with Jinx, but other than the Jinx, Galio, and Hecarim, it's not really about that. It's about the Yorick split push. It's about that Giga that we're geeking out over, right? He's going to apply pressure in the side lane. Your Talia is going to have to go up there. Your Shen's going to have to go up there. And when that happens, the other three-man unit, they can engage in whoever is left. And Puffles on LeBlanc, pardon me. Puffles has blown my mind with his mechanics. Even in the games where they lost, you could see Puffles has mechanics. LeBlanc doesn't care about the rest of the team. LeBlanc's job is to blow up that Ezreal, hunt that down, maybe grab a Talia on the way out potentially here. And that's where I'm really, really looking at. We're talking about the nerfs for Ezreal and all that stuff. I don't even think that's going to matter. I think it's just going to come down, can Puffles find Paxax? And probably can. LeBlanc is pretty easy to pilot around. The issue is just, can you reach the back? Can you actually find a flank angle here? So I think Glaive Onyx have drafted themselves really solid tools. They just have to avoid getting pulled around the map and getting out-rotated.
And on that point, I don't think Frozen Heart saves an Ezreal from a LeBlanc, so try to build tank all you want. Paxax, you can't evade that one. But I think critically, what you're touching on here, RMC, is two peas in the same pod. Both these teams, not super indexed in the team fight. It's a lot about map rotation and map presence. AOE aren't going to be able to side lane as effectively, but can create numbers advantage at a moment's notice. You bring in the Weaver's Wall, you get to stand united, plus the mobility of an Ezreal and the speed of an Udyr can really make things hurt if you do have that numbers advantage with your team. Glaive Onyx, Similar situation, but not so much in a skirmish focus, as they are just really letting Giga sit in that side lane and do Yorick things. If he's allowed to do that, then the LeBlanc can create this pocket of vision in a jungle where one member just gets picked off. Another member walks in, the Galio comes in on top, waits for those cooldowns to come back, and all of a sudden it breaks out. I love what these two teams are doing. In a game 3, it's not just going to be all about 5v5s. It's going to be about creativity, creating vision control. And this is where I think the support matchup could get ever so important.
Yes, I agree with everything you say, Necrox, but the supports, I just don't know how much impact we're going to really see out of this. I really don't like the Ezreal Thresh pick, like we talked about. And I feel like
not for the lane, RMC. I don't care about this Ezreal
I know, but even out of lane, my problem with this particular Thresh pick is that I just don't see it being as impactful. Like, yes, you throw out death sentences, you find hooks, but even then, I just don't think it... There are so many other picks which I would have felt would have been so much better here. And you know what? Kenny's blown my mind before. I'm looking for Kenny to blow it again, because if not, I think this pick's really meh. And the Galio as well, I'm not as huge a fan of it in terms of without the Nocturne or something to out onto here, because you're not really going to be reinforcing the Yorick too much, I don't think. And in terms of peel, yeah, you've got the great taunt for the Jinx, but nothing that an Alistar wouldn't have brought, a Nautilus wouldn't have brought, a Leona wouldn't have brought to the table here. So I do feel like the supports to a certain extent, the vision becomes key, as you rightly pointed out there. How well can you get the vision for the rest of the team to make those plays? And what I'm really hoping we don't see, Necrox, is a stall situation where Glaive, Onyx are split push and they're burning the TPs from Runeweaver, from Andesu, burning the global, supports everybody back down. But AOE has so many globals that they can just keep cycling people to the top to deal with Giga. That would be a worst case scenario. I want quick games like what we saw, active games like what we saw in game 1 and 2 here.
With aggressive junglers, with comfort in mid laners, with carries in the bot lane, and beasts going at each other once again on Summoner's Rift. We're going into our decisive game 3 of the series. AOE looking to take down the number 2 seed in Glaive and prove to us and the audience watching that they are a playoff contender. Glaive looking to secure that first round bye. We'll be back on the Rift with our new caster and Finnick and DJ as they await. Stay tuned.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Excellency Heavy League. My name is Finnick, joined on the desk today, as always, by DJ. We are into game number 3 of AOE God Squad versus Glaive. Onyx series tied at 1-1. Glaive looked very good in game number 2, and I think they have the draft advantage this game. We'll see if they can make it stick. That said, AOE, they got all their stacks in the Ezreal pack sacks basket.
Yeah, they really do have everything in the pack sacks basket. Stun?
Actually, you might die. Flashes right into a taunt. Oh no, the humanity. Tupper might be in trouble though. He got flayed, ignited up as well, and he goes ahead and cleanses that off. So the invade from God Squad gets a little bit of vision, but they lose first blood for it, and it goes on to the Hecarim.
Pain, so much pain, Finnick. That's all.
Guess what this reminds me of? A certain jungler getting first blood in game number 2. McShootums didn't look great on the Hecarim game number 1, but he looked amazing on the Nocturne game number 2, and Hecarim is one of his comfort champs. So putting him back on the Hecarim, I think, makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah. And we've been talking about how Hecarim's a damage champ now. Doesn't build tank. Well, nothing more than a damage champ loves, and being ahead of the curve here, Finnick. This is a great start for McShootums. And you were mentioning that you thought Glaive had the draft advantage. Well, I 1000% agree with you because I look at this AOE God Squad composition and I think that
he actually has flash, but I don't think he wants to use it. There it is. Flash out of the way.
Yeah,
Shadow might be in trouble though. Oh, one more auto attack flash for Flash, and Pack Sacks can't make it stick. Now Tupper's in trouble though, flayed in by Kenny Master M. And more damage coming in from the Rockets. He really wants Kenny Master to live, but he goes down to the Ezreal as the taunt lands from the Galio just a little bit too late. What was that? Tupper? Hello?
Yeah, there's things going on here, Finnick, and none of them are like good. It's just like chaos here in the early game as we've got, maybe these teams are just like too hype here for game number 3, just going a little too crazy in their lanes around the map, and we got a lot of early blood. And I will say I was, okay, hold on.
2 mistakes, 2 kills. Runeweaver's fine. Both these kills should not have happened. I think is what it boils down to.
Yeah, they definitely should not have, but we can at least look at the game now that we hopefully have calmed it down. Normal farming ensuing here. Scout trying to catch up a little bit to McShootums, who is again accelerated with that early first blood. This is nice for Paxax, but I still will echo my sentiment that it feels really hard for AOE to kill anyone here on the Glaive composition in any sort of meaningfully large skirmish or team fight, right? Your only damage really over time is Paxax, and it's an Ezreal. Yeah, Ezreal is buffed. Yes, he's a very strong champion right now, but they've already nerfed Sunder, and it's just not the same as having something like a Jinx, like a Vayne, like a Xayah back in the day, right? It's just not the same kind of AD carry here. So for me, AoE has to be looking for side lane plays for very early 2v2 wins, just like they're doing here.
Into the knockback, Kenny Master Lin goes down, still gets a hook. There we go. Pepper gets donated the kill. And McShooter looking very good on the Heck Room right now. It's Runeweaver and Nullscout are mid.
He's gonna go straight there.
I mean, they were spotted out by the Mystic Shot, so yeah. That'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a nice gank from McShootums, and again, we've mentioned that he has bounced back extremely well from that game number 1. Makes a nice gank path here into the bottom lane. Another assist for him, a kill for his AD carry, and sort of parity restored here in the bottom lane. And again, it just seems hard for AoE to get anything done here on the health bars of Glaive. Not to mention, if they do want to make cross-map plays with Andesu's Shen, you can just split push into that as Giga with this Yorick. My one concern about Glaive's comp is that, you could go to this Yorick, right? With that semi-global from Runeweaver's most played champion here in the Taliyah, and Desu has a global as well, but it just seems very hard around any sort of meaningful objective, Finnick, for AoE to get anything done. They're really going to have to outdo my expectations and outplay what I think the limits of their composition are.
Flashes, gets the taunt away, looking for the knockback. It's McShootums. Tanks a couple turret shots for good measure. Also, Yorick out split pushes Shen. Like, we talked about this. Yorick is one of the best, if not the best, split pushers in the game.
Oh, yeah. Not even close.
And he counts as 2 champions when Maiden is up. So, yeah. It's a little bit tough. Udyr is bot side, looking to solo the dragon as they did see the jungle priority over towards taunt. The first Drake will go over to God Squad. It is the Infernal Drake. Hopefully the next one's Cloud, so we don't get another Cloud Soul. But I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, that would be the triple Cloud Soul would be a little brutal here, but we got a skirmish, Finnick.
Get the taunt on to Kenny Master Lin. McShooters is here, Scout as well. Here comes Puffles, able to get a nice route onto the enemy AD carry as the Electrocute proc almost gets the kill. But the Taliyah is here, that's the kill. Puffles goes down in response. Scout with the kill credit. Shadow, though, going back in with the Justice Punch, as directed camera looks top side. Now back bottom side, Runeweaver. Getting the volleys, and there's the taunt. There's the Winds of War. Scout very low, Copper looking for the reset. But the Galio's dead, and it's a double kill to Runeweaver.
Wow, Finnick, are they going to do this? They're up 4-3 in kill score. The skirmish goes in their favor. Yeah, we've been critical of their comp, but if there's one place that's good, it's in these first 15-ish minutes here. They've got a lot of champions that have a CC, they've got damage, particularly this Taliyah, and they make it happen here in the bottom river. We need to see a lot more of this out of AoE. Stack those Drakes up, stack advantages up if they want to be able to play this mid to late game portion of this decisive game number 3. But that's the kind of thing you got to do to get it started.
Yeah, and meanwhile, topside, and Desu, you really can't trade into this, unfortunately for him. Getting CS into this, but with that initial skirmish going over to God Squad, the gold is dead even. What are our item breakpoints that we're looking towards this game?
I think if we want to look at places for these comps to fight, right now is actually a decent time for God Squad because they do have the stand united. I think they will also be stronger likely than Glaive Onyx's composition here through one item in sort of larger skirmishes. Once those sort of second, 1.5, 2 items come through here for Glaive, that's when I think things really go haywire for AoE, particularly when the Jinx gets those 2 items. That's when I think Glaive is very strong.
Here. Blinks back, still gets the root. Melscout is here, couldn't get the flash bear stance, as he doesn't have flash.
Yeah, the problem even, Finnick, with that 1 item power spike is it's not as decisive as it was, I think, in the games like number 1 and 2. Even 1 item here for Glaive, on LeBlanc and Hecarim in particular will feel very, very good. And Yorick's 1 item will feel great for him in the 1v1 at the very least. So it's not like it's a full advantage on 1 item, but I still think that's one of the best spots for God Squad to be looking to fight. They'll also likely get a little bit of a window when Paxax finishes his 2 items, since they are a lot cheaper than Jinx's 2 item power spike. But that, again, is really where I think things go off the rails.
Giga, though, pushing in on the top lane with the Maiden of the Mist, as you do on Yorick, zoning and Desu out of the wave. Dragon has still been bot side for the last 4 minutes, and Glaive Onyx finally have the prio to take it. So we'll start that up.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised this Drake happens so late, Finnick. I'm a little surprised that God Squad are not trying to get it.
Already took it, like he peeled off it, I guess. Right?
Yeah. I'm a little surprised this has taken so long to take. I'm very surprised that AoE don't want this. We do see a mountain Drake come up for the second Drake, so there is that possibility of the triple Cloud Soul in this series, but Dragon Stacking seems like the kind of strategy you could have with this sort of comp. The semi-globals, you want to make plays proactively and sort of in the early to early mid game. That seems like the kind of strategy you want to go for, but Melscout just seems pretty uninterested in it, as do AoE God Squad with how long that first Drake stayed up. So clearly their focus will be elsewhere. So they do have that Rift Herald in their pocket. So just maybe going to try to go for some sort of tower game, but hard to win a long-term tower game against the Yorick, Finnick.
Indeed it is. As Ndesu is actually keeping up in CS decently well into the Yorick. As it is a little bit of a wet noodle fight for the time being, at least until Giga gets the Divine Sunderer. Bot side, though, bot lane prio going over to Glaive Onyx. Once again, I mean, it is Ezreal with the Thresh, so nothing too new there. Mid lane CS is even, but it still is 2 kills to 1.
Still 2 kills for Rune Weaver, and he can try to use that for the next play. You can see him dipping out of vision at the moment with that ultimate. The Weaver's Wall at the ready around this Drake pit. I think he's about to potentially use it.
Goes Rune Weaver. Shadow gets the taunt, has to flash away. Puffles is here. And it's a disengage.
Yeah, nothing coming of that fight. And again, just a little concerning here for me. If you are AoE, you want those plays to work. You do not want this game to go that late. You don't want to let Geek scale up items. I don't think you want team fights against this Jinx Hecarim. So I'm still a little surprised they're not quite pulling the triggers on some of these plays. Weaver did dip out of vision and pop over the wall, Finnick. I really need to see something creative out of them, particularly around at least the second Rift Herald. They still need to pop the first one, though, as the ulti comes in your mid lane.
Gets a flash. Hook on a Galio, does the plunge, gets a taunt. Into the box they go. Tifi being channeled. Here comes Puffles. Right in to the Galio ultimate. The bear stance is already good. I get the kill, though, onto Puffles as he flashes out of the way. Paxax needs to be careful. Jado taken down low, still gets a 2-man taunt, but he falls. Paxax picks up the kill for trade to support spot side.
Nice stuff there from AoE and Melscout. It ends up being that 1-for-1 Just the support's going down, but they chunk Tooper out as well. He's going to have to base, going to lose a lot at this turret. And they can pop this Rift Herald and take the whole thing. This is what we wanted to see from AOE with this composition. Use that tempo. They've opted for the Rift Herald instead of the Drake. This is perfect usage of it as they do take this turret down and make Tooper's life a heck of a lot harder. Much better stuff here at the 12-minute mark. And again, we need to see more plays like this that earn them tempo, that earn them map control so that they can use that global and semi-global, but they may have overstayed their welcome.
And in goes the Hackron, out goes the Tom, and Melscout is able to avoid it for now. True shot barrage, swing and a miss, and McHughes goes down. Melscout, though, still in trouble from the Jinx, has a flash out of the way, but he gets away from the chains of the LeBlanc. And it's a dead McShootums.
Yeah, it's a nice play, and Paxak's doing a lot of damage right now with the Sheen here. I'm actually a little surprised that Puffles went in for Melscout instead of trying to go straight for Paxax there. On the Sword Shoes, you can kind of blow up Paxax at this point. You could have at least zoned him away, but instead they try to focus down the low health target, and a little bit of an outplay, I think, comes out from the AOE members there. Nice stuff from Melscout and Paxax as they pick up another kill and extend this early game gold lead to 1.5K.
It was the first gold lead of the game, of course, after that first tower was taken bot side. Gold on the Ezreal and Talia at the moment. Some on the Udyr. As and Detsu still getting out pushed top side, now has a CS deficit. Finally. Dragon spawning, 25 seconds.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the priority here is on this Drake. We mentioned that AoE didn't seem interested in the first one, instead going for the Rift Herald. We don't have the second Rift Herald on the map just yet, so I'm interested to see if they actually allocate resources to this. Stand United, I think, is just about to come up here. Actually, it is available. That's just the light there on the little circle. Tough for me to see. So that one is available. They have pretty much everything up except for Paxax. Is Flash is a big one that is down here. But for their semi-globals, everything...
No, Stand United is not available. I'm watching this thing tick.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Yep. When? Yeah, I'm a little... When was that used? Did they use that in the last skirmish? Either way, not available here for this Drake, but they will start it up, so a lot more prio on the second Drake than they had on the first, but doesn't look like Glaive are going to let them have it for free.
No, they won't. There's, of course, a Mountain Dragon. Potential for another Cloud Soul. Instead, it will be the Ocean Rift this time around. McShootums dove into the pit, had to pop the ultimate, as here comes Jado. He gets a knockup, but he can't save McShootums. Weaver's wall use, gonna zone off Jado from the rest of the fight, and maybe Tupper as well. Has to be careful from these volleys. Oh no, seismic shove, not gonna hit, but still the kill goes over to Paxax. Top lane turret traded though.
And the Tooper just falls there. The ghost popped by Runeweaver. He can't get away from that seismic shove. Gets run down. It's a nice fight for AoE. They actually extend their kill lead once again and pick up the Drake. But this is something we sort of heralded here at the beginning of the game. Whenever Andesu wants to go to that bottom side with the TP or Stand United, it is just going to be Giga. Not really going to join. He just wants to split push. A teleport from a Yorick doesn't do a whole lot in a team fight. Much better for him to just apply this pressure in the side lane, and they do get that first turret for themselves, and that is the lane we'll have to watch out for as the pressure does mount up. The later and later this goes. One item marks also coming through here for both sides. Oh boy, Paxax.
Maybe completed. McShootums not a little bit deep, but he's able to get out. True shot barrage hits though. And they disengage.
Almost. Nice effort from Runeweaver there on the seismic shove, but doesn't quite connect, and looks like things will settle down. Critically here, the second Rift Herald is up, and I think this is something that will be very interesting to potentially both sides. You can see AoE's already over there. Shootum's actually on the bottom side. Looks like he'll just give it up. Maybe they're confident in Giga's, purely Giga's ability to push this lane himself, to do the split pushing. They don't really need the Rift Herald. It is AoE. It looks like they'll take that one not for free, I would say, as that bottom lane turret's gone now. But they will get it for a pretty reasonable trade, I would say.
Puffles almost chunks out Runeweaver there as well. As Giga and Desu Wet Noodle fight bot side, but the Divine Center is already there. Good engage mid lane. Kenny Master Lin goes down now, and Desu's in trouble. But Giga cannot dive tower.
Really nice stuff in the mid lane. Excellent work on the Hecarim from McShootums. We mentioned he's very comfortable on this champion. That was a clean play onto Kenny Masterlin, who doesn't really have any way out on the Thresh. They take him down and continue to apply pressure to that bottom side. I think the Rift Herald still in the inventory here of Melscout. Going to be critical where he does place that one. Again, the split push timer is on here for AOE God Squad against this Yorick. They will need to make sure they have some sort of lane of pressure with those two Rift Heralds that have acquired for themselves. That first one was pop bottom lane. See where this second one does go, as without an objective on the map, 2 minutes towards both the Drake and the Baron here. Finnick might be a bit of a lull, as both teams have been very objective focused to this point.
And I mean, either way, it's going to be a fight. I expect around the Ocean Dragon over the Baron. Gank topside though. Runeweaver unable to get the seismic shove. Here comes the Stand United. Has to flash out of the way. Looks for the turn. Decides against it. That is Stand United down. It is level 11 Stand United, so a bit of a shorter cooldown now. But this is a window for Onyx to fight.
And it's really a window for the split push. Look who's holding this. It's Melscout, level 10 jungler here against Giga. That's not going to go very well. Already chunked to half HP. And yeah, the damage isn't lethal to the turret, but he is just going to shove another wave in here. Going to continue to mount up. Level 12, like we mentioned, he is the highest in the game, tied with the mid laners.
And that's bot gets upon. You got in trouble. Gets flashed upon. Here comes the TP from the mid laner. LeBlanc's here. Might look for Indesu as the True Shot Barrage is bad. And here comes Runeweaver. He's down with the Weaver's Wall, but unfortunately keeps the rest of his team away. And Melscout nearly falls. There's the super mega death rocket. And it's 1-0. Mid turret goes down though in favor of AOE God Squad. But here comes the ultimate orbs of the ultimates. 2 deaths for AOE.
Nice stuff there from Glaive. They got the ward down onto the Thresh Lantern. That was the critical play. That's why Paxax went in. He thought he was safe with that. He was not. He falls down despite all of the resources spent in the
Runeweaver in trouble. Here comes the top of the Galio. They can't really find it. But now Runeweaver is in a 1v3. Might find Puffles though. Flashes to escape the volley. Galio empowered auto attack and the Maiden plus a Q to seal the deal. And Glaive Onyx are getting back into this game. God Squad just seems to be falling apart right now.
Yeah, they're more than back into this, Finnick. They're 2k gold up, and you can see what the pressure is doing here to God Squad, all from Giga, right, on this split push. They're sending multiple members to answer him, but again, they don't have the damage to burst him out, to really kill him through this healing on the Q and on the Sunderer. He buys so much time, multiple members show up, and Tooper, if nothing else, man, this guy's a sniper on the rockets. We've seen 2 long-range rockets so far in this series. He picks up the first kill, then baits Paxax into his death, and this will be the continued story of this game. Can God Squad find an answer to Giga's split push? They are a very low damage composition, and Giga is only going to get tankier and harder to kill as this game goes on. They'll need to spend extra resources, and that's Glaive's chance to punish.
Thank goodness Melscat has tenacity, otherwise he was just dead there. Rift Herald topside though should be enough to get a charge onto the C1. As Puffles actually gets caught up by Kenny Master Len. Into the box he goes. Distortions away, excuse me. The Rift Herald falls, but they do get a seismic shove, and McShootums goes down. Oh, taunt? Not able to get through. Yes, they do, and that is a jungler for support.
Yeah, jungle force support. Still not going to feel great for Glaive, but again, look at where everyone is on the map. Giga just continues to do work down here in the bottom lane. He's now 70 CS up on Andesu, nearing his 2 item spike here. And again, the turret's still high, but just every minion wave that piles in here, it's going to take a little bit off. It's going to take a little bit off. And then it's even quicker for Giga to work through this. This is the piling pressure, the ramping pressure. It's all about whether God Squad can find answers to that pressure. And so far, all of their answers have been muted. They're either 1-for-1s or 2-for-1s, very small victories. And the victories and the lead is continuing to slowly pile up here for Glaive.
We'll see if AOE can come back into this game, though. They still have decent scaling with this Ezreal, but as we kind of mentioned earlier, they're kind of lapsed. Where's the Hull Breaker?
Hull Breaker's in here for Giga.
Oh, for Giga! New items! Random's now a Glaive supporter. All right, he's representing Random's people with that Hull Breaker completion. 2 items for Giga. He will out-split push anyone now.
Oh, yeah. He was already going to outsplit push here, Fiddick. But for those of you that don't know the Hull Breaker, if you remember Banner of Command, which nobody wants to, this is similar. Going to be a similar kind of thing. Going to buff up a minion, going to make it very hard to kill it and do bonus damage to turrets. So blink and you'll miss it. Those turrets will die. And RMC, as we've been mentioning, his people going to get a chance to rise up here as every true League of Legends fans cringe at the sight of this item.
Giga, though, in trouble. Weaver's wall popped. Giga knocked back with the seismic shot, taunted up and down. He goes. Rune Weaver picks up the kill. Look, I didn't think Banner of Command was a bad item.
Oh, no.
What?
Oh, no.
Like, even when it was oppressive, I thought, you know, Banner was fine. Not when it was oppressive. It was never oppressive. It was good. Even when it was good, I didn't think it was just like it was a good item, but not like you only built it on split pushers, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and not every game was a split push game, right?
Okay.
Look, Banner wasn't that bad an item.
I don't know, man. Banner literally ruined games. You just wouldn't interact with an enemy champion for the entire 30 minutes, and you would still lose, Fiddick.
Nope. See, Zerat Portal, that was the uninteractive one. Banner was fine. Also, Zerat and Nivea, I never played that because in Season 6 that was a Vagar one trick.
They were one and the same. They were the same. Everyone built the same way. You just build a tanky champion split pusher, and you just pile the 2 items on. You just win the game without ever interacting. It's boring. It's too boring. It's not fun. It's not interactive.
No, you don't automatically win the game from Banner. That said, I remember Banner Twisted Fate. That was a lot of fun. No.
We aren't our challenger players here, Finnick. We didn't know how to deal with it. It wasn't fun. It needed to go. And now it's back.
I didn't like Zerat, but Banner was fine.
All right, you can take that up with Twitch chat here, Finnick, as Giga continues to press forward with this item. I think Twitch chat will take my side here, Finnick.
You know, perhaps. Giga just demolishes this tower, by the way.
He's gonna kill it.
Might be in trouble, actually. Doesn't have the taunt available to get out of that one. But it does block the damage quite a bit. As the Dragon started bot side, they got a knock up on a Kenny Master Limb, but he has to make his way out of the fight as Rune Weaver. He's caught out on the side, still buying time for his team to get the Dragon, his first of the Soul Drakes, going over as Rune Weaver falls. And the turret dies in that top lane. Oh, no. Shen is here.
He's dead.
Goodbye, but they're going to lose an inhib for this.
Yeah, Shen TP's in to TP out. Can they interrupt it? They can. They might lose more.
Oh, no. Oh, no. And Yorick, here's the thing. Necrox said Yorick was a bad pick. Yorick is winning Onyx this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely is winning them this game. I mean, they just spent all of their team's resources to take that Drake and try to kill and try to kill Rune Weaver, right? And they lose 2 for doing it. They get the Drake for AOE God Squad, but they're 2 Drakes away. They're 2 Drakes away from a soul, and the soul is Ocean Soul. Does that soul even really matter when the enemy's team composition doesn't want to win by fighting you? I don't think it really does here, Finnick. Like, I think this is just wins across the board for Glaive Onyx. They're playing a different game than AOE wants to right now, and they are winning that game handily while AOE continues to try to make plays around the map with odd numbers and continues to get punished for it. Already one inhibitor down in the top lane, and the work that was done earlier in the bottom lane means there's one turret to go before the inhibitor in the bottom lane falls as well.
I think AoE's trying to play HOTS right now. That's a reference. Never mind.
No, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. Yeah, they like the games are not the same here, right? That's the important part. Oh God!
After Lynn almost goes down, but he's able to get alive. Here comes the ultimate of the Hecarim. As the Jinx is ready to go. Now on the Mel Scout, does quite a bit of damage. They did go with support, but Jada will fall as the trade of support from the mid lane as Giga continues to push bot.
This wave, oh my god, they're going to send Runeweaver. He's going to flash away.
And Desu able to make his way over the wall, but Runeweaver actually is very low. Had the seismic drove Giga away as Pupples makes his way into the fight. And the distortion forward gets the kill. Tupper falls in the meantime. But this will be another inhib tower and maybe even an inhib for Onyx in this bottom lane.
They're just still pushing forward here. It's not quite the inhib as resets come through. The Tuber dies in mid lane, but again, the kill score, we're keep repeating it, it doesn't really matter. The kills don't really matter. The base is just open here. Look at the turret score. It's 7-2, Finnick. It's only going to get worse here. The waves are just collapsing into the enemy base. There's supers in top lane. Look at this whole map. Look at the vision. The blue, there are no blue wards anywhere on this map because everything is just pressing into them. They're even going to potentially lose their mid tier 2. It just stays alive.
And, you know, when Giga recalls, he takes the maiden with him, all ready to go.
Eric's Gage.
3 items. It's also a 3-item Jinx as well, with a 3-item Ezreal completed. So, Paxax is at the point where he should start doing the damage he needs to do.
Yeah,
it just comes down to, can they force Yorick out of a side lane? And I think the answer is no.
Yeah, I mean, he can do some damage here. The problem is so can Tuper, right? We're on that 3-item mark we talked about. We see what LeBlanc can do on these 2 items, just popping Endesu there in the base. There's minimal magic resist on the enemy composition at the moment. They really haven't been itemizing for it. It's kind of split across the board. So everyone here with those Sork shoes available can still just get absolutely shredded by Puffles. He can still do a lot of damage. And honestly, I think the Tuper next item should definitely just go GA and make it even harder to kill him and allow extra time for this split push. You can see it's already creating a pressure situation here around the Baron. They're just surrounding it. Giga's in the bottom lane. Where is really the answer here for AoE?
Hold that thought for a second. The poll is tied. So Twitch chat did not agree with you. They half agreed with you.
Wait, there were 4 votes.
And half agreed with me. That's still all of Twitch chat.
This is bad data. This is really bad data.
They're looking to turn the fight. They got a taunt on the Mel Scout. Still caught in the seismic shove is the support. As the Ezreal gets the True Shot barrage, but the Baron still goes over the Glaive. Mel Scout now in trouble. Might be turned upon by McShootums. Here comes to LeBlanc, and it's an instant disruption kill. And on to Runeweaver they go. Super Mega Rocket to get the kill. And here's the thing. You can get 2 kills around Baron. You can get a Baron buff, but you also have a Yorick with a Baron buff.
Yeah, they might just lose here. They're forcing it down mid. The turret's already down. They will opt not to. They'll go back to the Drake and play it safe. There are 2 inhibs down. Like, that was devastating. You lost Baron. You lost a fight. You lost an inhib. You're going to lose the Drake. Like, this is what we feared from the beginning here, Finnick. How does AoE God Squad get kills? How do they get wins here? Everything has fallen apart because they cannot kill anyone on Glaive Onyx quickly enough. They can barely win team fights 4v5, and they certainly can't win them fast enough to stop Giga from trading up on the other side of the map.
Random and chapping like Baron, Giga is split pushing. Dragon, Giga is split pushing. Team fight, Giga is split pushing. This is
why we hate the item. This is why it doesn't make sense.
It's not the item, it's just Yorick. It's not the item, it's just Yorick, and you better take that back.
Really? Who was playing Yorick before this item was out? He had played Yorick before the item. Oh my god.
Just deletes Thresh from the map. Okay. Look, Banner of Command was not an oppressive item. It was good. It wasn't oppressive. I don't think this new item is oppressive either.
All right, we'll see. Time will tell here. We'll hold the argument as the base is once again under threaded. Honestly, you can hear us kind of bantering here because in reality, I kind of think this game is unwinnable. I don't think this is comebackable here from AOE. I think there's way too much pressure on them. Every wave is just piling into their base. They have zero vision, and they are so far behind 6k gold as the death push likely coming in here. Giga's level 17 on the side lane as Puffles goes in.
But they got Baron buff for another minute, too, as I take the top lane inhibitor again. Puffles looks for Andesty. Won't find it as the mid turret falls. This will be 6 super minions into the base for Glaive Onyx.
God, it's so over. How do you stop this? Where's your wave clear? You have an Ezreal. You can't wave clear.
And these firsts just keep on falling, and Glaive doesn't have to engage. They can just sit back, wait for AOE to try to engage into them, but what do? Giga, taunt it up, cool, he's fine. Ultimate comes in from the Galio, but I don't think that's going to be enough. But taunt flash on to 3, and Scout nearly goes down, but he's able to get back into the fountain in the meantime. We got to taunt on to Giga once again, but Glaive Onyx has already taken the Nexus, and Onyx win the series 2-1 on the back of beautiful split pushing from Giga, using a definitely balanced item in the form I can't even finish that. In the form of the Hullbreaker.
We'll see. Our production right now trying to get us the stat on how much bonus damage, extra damage to structures that item did, and then maybe we can make a judgment. But regardless, the split pushing, like you were saying here, Finnick, regardless of the itemization, was just good from Glaive, right? And this is a meta that for the longest time has not been split push focused because Drake's Soul has been so strong. They find the way around it. They know exactly how to play it, and they know how to slow AoE down to make sure they cannot stack those Drakes. They cannot stack big early game leads, and that the split push slowly just bleeds them to death. Granted, I don't think AoE's draft helped them in that sense. I think we need to look back at that as well. But I do think Glaive played this out and drafted the way they should have to win this game, and they were rewarded.
And with the series win, that means that with the series loss, excuse me, for AoE God Squad, unfortunately, that means that they are now in sole possession of 6th place, but that might not be for long. As Glaive Onyx, they're in 3rd place now due to a couple of forfeits. They are looking very strong for playoffs. To give you the breakdown of that game, we're going to send it to Necrox and Random to close out the night. But until next week, I'm Finnick. That has been... come
back to us with an interview, Finnick.
DJ. Oh, wait, they do? I'm bad. Yes. Sorry. We'll see you after this.
Yeah.
What an amazing night. Boris, you rat. Selling my top laner's Hullbreaker. 3,300 extra damage from the item. 14k damage to turrets. He didn't leave one standing, RMC. 4v4 fight in the mid lane. Doesn't matter. He's gonna push your base.
Giga still split pushing. Baron, Giga still split pushing. Giga split pushing. Giga is still split pushing. Like, just don't stop, man. That game. I will say this. I was underwhelmed by the Hullbreaker. Like, it didn't look as well as I was expecting. It didn't feel like it did that much. 3,300 it's not bad, but it's also not like earth shaking. But just combined with the Yorick split push, that is just nasty. And you could see towards the end, it took 3 members to shut down Yorick. You send any less than 3, and he turns that.
He had 26% kill participation, but the man single-handedly won his team the game. Giga is now back promoted to Giga instead of the boss. You truly deserve it, my friend. What a performance. Yorick is such a dumb champion, but I'm so glad we got to see it on stream at least. Thank you so much to Finnick as well, quickly, before we break down the rest of the game. Honestly, incredible first cast in a heavy league. You're canceled, though, sadly. Banner Command was an oppressive item. Also, not knowing the run of show, you're out of here. But RMC... specifically, the stakes of that game, that was actually really massive, and to come out with a pick like Yorick, build the Hullbreaker and everything shows confidence from Glaive, and that's why they're a top tier team.
Yeah, and that's why Glaive maintains their second place spot right now. They are just barely above Lotus. And I know we touched on it before, but if they end up with the same score, Lotus wins that head-to-head here. So Glaive needs to maintain this lead. Next week here, it will matter greatly because Glaive will have to be equal to or better than whatever Lotus pulls out. Now, for AOE God Squad, they are now sitting at 5th. 12-12, but New Age Frost, 10 and 14, they're nipping at the heels here. Things are getting kind of dicey, and Gamers for God right behind them by 1 game. And we already touched on the fact they're facing Who Flashed That Fight. Odds are they're not going to be able to 3-0 Who Flashed That Fight. Odds are they're not even going to be able to 2-1 that. So we'll have to see how that goes. Things are kind of down to the wire here for AOE God Squad.
Yeah, honestly, things getting real damn spicy at the end of Heavy League here. That was only week 8. We still have one more to go, and I'm not sure this series could have really portrayed how close the table really is. And there's these groups of people clumped up together that they're all vying for positions. Obviously, with 3rd place now for AOE and Lock, or excuse me, for Glaive and Lock, they're looking to secure that bye. And as we move further down the line, I'm hoping we get more Hullbreaker. I'm hoping we get more Anathemas, however you guys pronounce it, the chains, because those items look funny as hell. And I'm having a great time watching League of Legends. It feels like Heavy League is truly exploding into the fun fiesta state that we know it to be.
I'm just scared because Nicholas, I love Hullbreaker right now, and I said this in chat. But 1 week from now, I don't know how much I'm going to love that item. 2 weeks from now, I'm probably going to hate it here. So hopefully, we don't get that Banner of Command whole thing back into the game. And like I said, I was a little underwhelmed by Hullbreaker, so I think it's in a fairly good spot right now. We'll have to see how it goes, but I do believe now we do have the interview lined up.
Yeah, I think we're just about ready for the interview. Before we go over and throw it on over to our casters for the final interview, I want to know, RMC, quickly, your thoughts, player of the series.
Oh man, that's a tough
Put you
one.
on the spot.
My brain is still stuck on Giga pushing, split pushing. I'll go with McShootums because I did think his Hecarim play was really clean, and in that game too with the Nocturne, he single-handedly won games. So I will give it to McShootums now. But if I could give it to an item, Hullbreaker.
Hullbreaker MVP. All right, casters, Finnick and DJ, go ahead and bring us in for the interview. We have the one and only McShootums lined up for the interview like it was always scripted. You boys take us out.